welcome again to Doing Life Abroad with Options. Now, we've been talking a lot about construction management at UNISA with Debbie and Jackson here for a couple of episodes now. So if you haven't seen those, go back. There's some gems in there, especially from Debbie, with regards to what you can expect from salary. I heard 650,000 Kenya shillings. I was ready to pack my bags and leave the country. Bye-bye, Ruto. But that also now takes us to really the most important part. What does it look like living in Adelaide, where their campus is? And what does that look like in terms of the living cost? And most importantly, what's the nightlife like? I think Jackson is going to be putting us on to that. So maybe tell us a little bit about what the cost of living is like at Adelaide for the students as well as parents who are thinking about sending their students to study abroad and hopefully at UNISA.
Yeah, totally. So our university, UNISA, is based in the city of Adelaide. It's about a 1 hour flight to Melbourne and a 2 hour flight to Sydney, the cities people always know about being the big ones. But don't write off Adelaide because it is a really cosmopolitan, very international city, but it is a little bit smaller, easier to sort of get around. We call it the 30-minute city, so you can basically get anywhere in 30 minutes. And the beauty of Adelaide is that we have a beach, 30 kilometres of non-stop beach, which is 30 minutes away from the city. We've got beautiful Adelaide Hills where you can go cherry picking in summer, or go to our little German town Harndorf in the middle of winter or autumn and seeing all the beautiful coloured leaves and stuff like that. And so you can actually live, so where you study construction management is on our City East campus, right in the city centre. And you can very affordably live within a walking distance of the campus, or if not, save a bit more money and you could actually live just in a neighbouring suburb, catch the very good public transport, bus, train and tram into the city for your classes. So that gives you a little bit of a picture of Adelaide. One of the beauties of all of that though is that the actual cost of living is slightly cheaper in Adelaide too. So it's basically looking sort of around 10 to 15% cheaper than the big cities. So I have done a couple of conversions into Kenyan shillings to give people an idea. So you're looking at around, for everything, food, accommodation, transport, meals, entertainment, even the nightlife that you're so much after, you're looking at around 150,000 Kenyan shillings per month. And that probably sounds a bit shocking because you're like, whoa, that's expensive. And but if you hear me out here, as an international student, under the Australian visa guidelines, you can work a part-time job while you study. So what's going to be coming in soon will be 24 hours per week that you're allowed to work. And that part-time job pays a minimum pay, which has just increased to $23 something per hour in Aussie dollars. And that works out to be 190,000 shillings per month that you can earn from a part-time job that actually is during your semester.
Almost enough.
Oh, more than enough. Actually, 190,000 per month you can earn, 150,000 per month it costs. So you have spending money left over.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's right.
That's absolutely amazing. Although I do always say, and from my own experience, you never know what might happen. And anyways, you're there to study, not work. It's always good to have a supplement from back home, but also, do the job, the part-time job, just to make sure you're not there left high and dry and thinking, I just need the fees and then I'll get there and make it work. Just make sure you have that supplement from back home just in case. But I think this is good numbers just to make sure also it's not very heavy on the parents concerning taking care of their kids whilst they study abroad. This is absolutely good numbers. Another thing is, one of my own experiences that I know a lot of people are very excited to go to Sydney, or they're very excited to go to Melbourne, the very big cities. And when I was trying to go and study in the UK, I was like, I really, really want to go and study in London or something like that. And what was my experience was that I loved the fact that I didn't go to a huge city because it was hectic. It was the first day I landed, I was so overwhelmed because it's such a big city. No one even talks in English in London. It's a whole city of foreigners who live in London, and then British people live outside of London. So you're very confused. No one is talking to you. No one is friendly. One of the best things about studying in a smaller city is that people are much friendlier. People are, it's easy to, I mean, if it's 30 minutes this way or that way, it's also easy to move from one place to another if you're moving to a new country. And I think, I don't understand why you would choose any other place except Adelaide. I guess if you want to be in a big city but not too big, that is too complicated. So
absolutely, I think there's a number of factors. I completely agree with all your points there. But yeah, I always say Adelaide is a city where it's really not worth you making any enemies, because you will bump into people that you know without even trying.
Right.
But that has such an amazing benefit, not only from just feeling comfortable and feeling like it's a community, but from an actual career perspective.
Right.
Because we all know networking is so important.
Yeah.
And Debbie's touched on BOSS, the building organisation for staff and students, which is a specific club for that we have in UNISA for construction management. But even just generally, I mean, I've experienced it in my own sort of career. I think almost every job I've ever had there's been some sort of a connection or a lead or a recommendation, and in some cases one's just fallen into my lap, and we know that's happening in construction too. And even chatting with friends, Australian and international, who have lived in the bigger cities. Big city, lots of people, lots of jobs, but also there's so many people who can apply for every job, and so they can put out the normal ad and then find the best cream of the crop who basically apply for it, go through a normal application process. Adelaide, sometimes it just starts from word of mouth, and it's a friend of a friend or of a contact, and you're like, hey, they needed something, I thought of you, and this is so common in Adelaide. And this has been reflections, I mean, my experience, but also reflections of friends of mine who have been in the bigger cities and been like, man, Adelaide's it's a different world in that sense, and there's such an opportunity to kind of gain from that too.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. I think, as I think about it, and as I get back to really the main question, that would bring up nightlife. What are the things to do, the fun things to do, so that you can meet people and therefore make them connections that you actually need for your future jobs in construction management. So where are those cool places to go?
It happens in 2 words here. Mad March. So we have a festival season in Adelaide, which is basically in the months of February, March, and honestly it's extending longer and coming into other months with other ways as well, but this is our key festival season. And the best thing is, if you start, we do have 2 intakes. You can either start in February or in July, which are the 2 main standard kind of intakes in the Australian academic calendar. February is one of the biggest intakes, and if you are studying there, you are coming to Adelaide at the absolute best time. So we basically have the world's 2nd largest open access art festival happening at that time. It's called the Adelaide Fringe, and it is, and students can love it because it can be completely free, absolutely no cost. Students love things that are free, right? But at the same time, if you want to part with a bit of cash, then go and see a show like comedy, cabaret, or dance, physical theatre, lots of circus. All these different people from all over the world actually come, and our parklands are transformed into these festival zones that are just buzzing, and amazing food from all over the world that you can find and stuff like that. So that's one of the many different festivals that happens at that time of year. Other than that, we've got, nightlife wise, we've got our little hub zone. So you've got Hindley Street if you're really up for partying. We have some great laneways that are off of there, which are actually super classy and have the cute little hole-in-the-wall bars. And then you've got Rundle Street down in the East End, a little bit more cultured, a bit more foodie, and also some, once again, cool laneways off of that with those cool little places too. Yeah, you have no shortage of that. And if you're not a nightlife person, that's fine too. Australia, we are obsessed with coffee. We are absolute coffee snobs.
And then you don't like Starbucks.
Oh yeah, Starbucks completely failed in Adelaide because
I heard that.
I think there's a couple in the country only, and I don't know how many of the Aussies are actually buying it. So
maybe you might be
That's
going to some, might be looking for one.
Maybe, but I think it's a beautiful little harmony between Kenyans and Australians. In Kenya, you grow the amazing, beautiful coffee beans. We don't have the climate for it. We import them, we roast them, and then we have perfected the art. So you can find some amazing coffee shops.
Right, and I mean, Debbie here was already telling me about the beer.
Oh, the beer, the Aussie beer.
She told me about that.
Beer is a bit of a culture, and we use it to socialise. So one of the things, and a very Australian saying is, come to the pub with us, the public bar. Come to the pub, have some Friday night knockoffs. You've finished work for the week, because our week finishes on Friday. We've knocked off, we've finished work. let's have some beers to celebrate.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you'll be knocking off your socks all the way to Aussie and into UNISA.
That's right.
And hopefully sharing a beer or two with your lecturer.
That's right. And Cooper's Pale is our local beer. That's probably, so if you want to really sound local as soon as you get there. Yeah, it is at Tusker. And it's quite specifically in South Australia as well. Really good local family-owned beer in every single pub. With lots of different variations depending on what your taste is. So Cooper's Pale.
Right. Jackson, you still need to get Debbie a Tusker.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A pint full.
We'll make sure that happens.
Yeah, a pint full of Tusker. But yeah, so what are some of the things that on campus the student can expect to do, sort of some of the fun things that happen on campus that they can get involved with, just to get some experience? And even, I know it's very important for international students to kind of make friends and get to know people. What are some of the things that they can do within the campus as well?
Yeah, so we've got, we have talked a lot about a very specific club of BOSS, which is all about construction management, and absolutely that is your best go-to top priority club if you're going to come and study that. But of course, we as our student association of UniSA, which is called USASA, is basically the umbrella organisation for all sorts of different clubs. So no matter whether your interest is in badminton or football or maybe not a sport, maybe something like musical theatre or computer, like gaming, stuff like that. We've got clubs for everything. Right. So that's a really cool way to tap into a community of people that you vibe with, and to meet different people and to meet Aussies and meet other international students too. Yeah. But then more generally as well, we have a really nice comprehensive orientation program generally for the university that we really encourage all students to be in Australia in time for and to attend. You will see my face because inevitably I always get roped in as the MC for the dedicated international student welcome reception.
You love it, Jackson. Really, Debbie, don't you think so?
Have great cake at those receptions.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Free
okay,
food.
For the cake.
Free
for the
food.
cake that you should
very
be there.
special.
That's right, yeah. But actually, speaking of that, there is, especially at that time of the year and all throughout the year, students love free things. Students love free food. There's heaps of free food happening on campus.
Yeah,
so all those
breakfast
kind of things.
that happens.
Yeah, we've got a thing called Brekkie Bar that runs on every campus, normally approximately once a week. It's sort of the schedule changes a bit, but basically it's a free breakfast on campus that runs with a cute little yellow Brekkie Bar thing, and it's free breakfast on campus 1 day a week, no matter which campus that you're on.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, there's some really cool things around the place.
Wow. Debbie, what are some of the fun things you do in class for the construction management students? Are you all work, no play?
Well, we don't like to just stand in front of a class of students and lecture at them. We've decided, when we know that students are going to fall asleep when we do that. So our lectures are really interactive, and everything we do, I think I may have mentioned in video one that we have constructive alignment. Everything we give you in terms of materials and instructions and activities is aligned with your assessment. So you're going to need all that information and all that practice that we do in our workshops and tutorials. Yeah. And so we don't lecture at people, we're interactive in every session that we run. Right. We have some really cool spaces, collaborative learning spaces, where we have screens that link up or can be independently run, so that we can talk about what we're doing as groups or as a whole group or small groups in the classroom and so forth. A couple of the things I really love about the first year when you join us is within the first 5 or 6 weeks you'll build a house frame. And so you'll get balsa wood. I don't think anybody understood what I said when I said balsa wood. You'll buy some timber pieces and you will construct a model of a house roof. And this is a group project. So you begin to build teams that you will be working with over the next 4 years. And you produce this model, and the quality of the work that you do in the first 6 weeks is so great that I use that model in my third year of teaching. I go back to it and say, remember your house model? Well, let's talk about how wind acts on that roof. Let's talk about the loads on that roof in the third year. So I love that project. And another one we do is talking about loads. Let's get a bit more specific. Those of you who are into maths and physics, and you will know about loads and reactions. So we ask our students to build a spaghetti bridge. Do you have spaghetti? We have pasta, right? So sorry if that was
Yeah.
So with long pieces of pasta, they glue these together and they build a bridge that has to actually withstand the loads, and we test it in an apparatus as a team. So there's some of the fun first assignments and assessments that you do in your first year.
You know, you mentioned the group work, and then are you stuck with the same people? Because what if...
No, that's
usually what if I get a boyfriend and then they become an ex-boyfriend and I don't want to go
that's
with
a
it?
special, very careful choice.
I don't want to go with them to second year.
No.
You got to move
Sometimes
on.
you've got to be a bit, you might, come with friends and you realise that they're not the best people to work with. And there's some of the skills that, apart from the technical skills that we teach you, some of those soft personal skills that you work out. So yes, we make students work as groups because we want students to be able to work as when they need to develop teamwork skills.
Right.
We also want students to work independently or autonomously. So both of those skills are part of our assessments. So not all of our assessments are singular, not all of our assessments are groups, not all of our assessments are exams. Some are nice and practical, like the one I spoke about. Some of them are literary kind of assessments, like essays and reports. So that's really varied, and we scaffold or build on those skills over the 4 years. So you needn't be afraid of academic writing skills in first year, because we're going to give you those skills and perfect them until you get to your 4th year, when you will do an independent research project. Independent, that is, as a group, but you work independently from academic staff really, and use all of the skills in research and academic writing that we've given you over the first 3 years to pursue an area of interest that really attracts your attention. So the thesis is the final capstone of all of that work as we grow those skills.
Right, that absolutely sounds like good work and stuff that I'm sure by now with the 4 other episodes you're very keen on getting started. But I think another thing is, generally, what are some of the amenities that they can expect throughout campus, Jackson, at UNISA?
Yeah, so we've got, UNISA's got 4 campuses, and I think we've mentioned in some of the other episodes, you will be based on City East campus, right in the city centre, if you're a construction management student. So all of our campuses you have access to all the campuses, and there is essentially 24-hour facilities that you can access on all campuses as well. If we talk first of all on security, there's 24-hour security on all campuses. So if Adelaide is a very, very safe city, but if you are just feeling a bit funny about walking to your car, you can have someone come and give you company down to it. So it's kind of nice with that. But we've also got like libraries on every campus. Libraries these days are less about books and a lot more about different spaces and study spaces or computer rooms or collaborative rooms. You've got even some of our libraries have actually got like a touchscreen wayfinding screen. You can find, where's a study room, and then level 3 room, something, book, put in your student details, and then up you go. You've got a quiet space to study. We actually have also student kitchens, so you can we sort of set you up like a little home away from home on the campus. So you can bring your lunch. You got a microwave to use, and then it's a really actually a really safe environment as well. I mean, no one can ever guarantee that you'll never have anything stolen, but there is still a culture at UniSA of working at a computer, up you go to the toilet, come back, your stuff is going to still be there waiting for you when you come back. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's that's really cool too. We've got all those kind of facilities. I think people often think about, they're like, how about on-campus accommodation? So in UniSA we don't actually have our own on-campus accommodation, but we partner with a really reputable private accommodation provider called Scape. So we've got some dedicated UniSA accommodation managed by this private provider called Scape, and the location of that is probably about safely 10 minutes walk from your City East campus, but right in the city centre as well. And if you're not so keen on that sort of student apartment life, then there are so many different options. We've got a whole department on accommodation that can help you and step you through the different options. A much more cost-effective option is private rental, and we actually have a UniSA rental database where you can look for a room near City East campus for a maximum of, say, $200 per week, and it'll come up with a list. So there's some really cool different options on that.
But then I wanted to ask you, Jackson, so what would a student be looking at when they're thinking about if they have an issue on campus, especially one that would concern their international matters, say they want to travel back home, or they have an issue with their visa or something like that,
Yeah.
You mentioned that you work with the international office as well. So where can they get some of the help that they might need?
Yeah, so basically, without going into too much complicated detail on the structure, when you apply to UniSA, you are in the capable hands of my whole department, which is UniSA International. And once you become a student of UniSA and actually enrol and you are physically in Adelaide, we then very kindly and gently hand you over to our student engagement unit, which basically looks after anything to do with current students. And under that student engagement unit, there is a dedicated international student support team.
Okay.
So they understand things like visas and COEs. These might not even be terms that people watching actually know. You will learn it all if you do apply. But they know all about all those implications, and they are literally an email or a phone call away. So that is just nice to know that you have that. Like when you said international matters, there's a dedicated team with a person on each of the campuses.
Right.
And the place where they sit is also a really good thing to know, and that's called Campus Central.
Okay.
So we basically have a one-stop shop for any student, any need that you might have, which is called Campus Central.
Right.
So if you forgot everything I just said, just remember one thing, Campus Central, reach out to them and they can point you in the right direction of whatever it is that you're dealing with.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. And I think one of the other things to mention, if you are going to choose to study at UNISA, we do actually have an office in Adelaide as options. So once you get to Adelaide, you have the option to just walk into an options office and, you know, talk to us. We understand you. We have some Kenyans there. If you're finding it difficult talking to our other friends, and they will be able to assist you whilst you're living in Adelaide. And as he said, Campus Central.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point that you mentioned. So we do work closely with options in Adelaide. We've had many students come to UniSA. You've got so many seniors who have already studied before you. And we have a nice, really like collegiate sort of partnership with options there. And even just before Debbie and I came on this trip, we caught up with the guys there and talked about what we might be able to do in future to make sure that they can work with their support services and we can work with our support services and know what's available, so everyone is kind of working hand in hand. So that's a really cool thing there. And I think one other thing to mention that we also have, so you've got all these options, Kenyan seniors who are already studying or maybe have already graduated and are still in Adelaide, so that you can get linked up with. But we also have a platform called this Student Ambassador Platform in UniSA International, which is essentially a group of current students who are student ambassadors and can actually have a call with you. Or you can do a direct, if you're a bit nervous on the phone or the time difference isn't all that favourable for you, then you can actually do like a direct chat, and you can say, hey, you're a student, what is it really like?
Yeah.
Was Jackson really telling the truth, or was he just saying
Is Debbie a bore? Is she fine?
That's right. So
should I apply for her class?
That's right.
Right.
So there's heaps of stuff there. Whether you're a prospective student, you've got Student Ambassador Platform and you've got options. And then when you become a current student, you've still got options and you've got Campus Central.
Oh, that's actually amazing. So I bet you're sitting there and you're wondering, you have not told me how I'm going to apply to UNISA. How do I actually start? I think the numbers are going to be down there in the description bar where we are located as options, because one way to apply to a university in Australia, you have to go through an agent, and options is the best when it comes to Australian applications to any university that you might want to be. And this time it's UNISA, and I would highly recommend you visit any of the options offices in Nairobi, in Thika, in Nyeri, in Nakuru, in Eldoret. We're in Kampala, we're in Lagos, we're in Abuja, anywhere you'd like to find us. And even if you're not in any of those countries, sure, send us an email and we will assist you to apply for your construction management course at UNISA. Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Finally. Sad, hey?
Right.
But it's been good, and I'm thankful for the team at UNISA for taking the time to do some content with us here at Options. And I guess we'll keep talking about construction management. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and we will be sure to answer any of the questions that you might have about applying to UNISA.
Maybe I'll mention one more thing. You come to UniSA and study construction management with us, I promise to buy you one of our amazing coffees. There you go.
hold him to that.
Please do.
Hold him to that. Make sure you hold him to that. Right? And thank you so much for joining us, and keep watching Doing Abroad with Options.
Thanks, Leah.
Thanks, Leah.
All right. Bye.